Mexico, a beautiful land with such rich culture, heritage, and ethnicity, powerful ethnic ties, a country that has only existed independently for just over 2 centuries. It has thousands of years of history and society in which to stand and bask in the awe of. A glorious and beautiful land, one of the largest countries in Latin America, and one of the most recognizable and influential cultures in the entire world, with its bastion capital of Mexico City with over 9 million people in the metropolitan area. It is an incredible land. The land dominated by the advanced Mayan and Aztec civilizations of the Middle Ages were also influenced by the Zapotecs, Toltecs, Olmecs, and other groups that continue to influence Mexican heritage and culture down to this day, regardless of whatever foreign powers would do, such as the Spanish, who conquered and destroyed the Aztecs in the 16th century under Hernán Cortés, bringing Catholicism and European heritage into the land. This mixture led to the mestizo population, mixed native and Spanish blood, and Mexico became the jewel in the crown of the Spanish Empire, which dominated Central and South America, as well as huge sections of what is now the United States. Yet the cry for independence, nationalism, and freedom would ring out very loudly, starting in 1810 when Father Miguel Hidalgo, with the Cry of Dolores, started the Mexican Revolution. This upstart rebellion was originally put down and seemed to gain very little steam. However, the Mexican people were highly in favor of it. Spain was preoccupied with the Napoleonic Wars and the continual schemes of Napoleon, who had put his brother in charge of the Spanish throne. After Bonaparte was defeated in 1815, the Spanish sought to reclaim their lands, but revolutions throughout Central and South America would continually humiliate them throughout the 1810s and 1820s, the Mexicans being the fiercest perhaps of all. In 1821, with the Treaty of Cordoba, they won their independence over the war-weary Spanish. However, all was not well with the new Mexican Republic. The power vacuum led to despotism, with men such as Santa Anna de Lopez seizing as much control as they possibly could. Santa Anna would rule throughout the 1830s, 40s, and again in the 1870s. At the same time, the equally greedy and power-hungry United States was expanding westward. Manifest Destiny would be a harsh mistress to the Mexicans, who lost Texas in the Texas Revolution of 1836, and then 10 years later lost California in the Southwest when the United States conquered all of Mexico in the Mexican-American War. This defeat left Mexico humiliated, weak, and vulnerable, especially to European imperialism. A renewed interest in Mexico came in 1860 from Napoleon III. The nephew of Bonaparte, he was determined to make the Second French Empire even greater than the first, and believed the best way to do it was to establish French control in the Western Hemisphere. He requested Maximilian Habsburg, the Archduke of Austria and brother of Franz Joseph I, the Austrian emperor who ruled for almost 70 years, to come to the New World and establish a French empire. The Archduke of Austria was ambitious, but more so he was kind and benevolent, believing that this was the best way to improve the lot of the Mexican people. He accepted the terms and brought along with him his beautiful wife Charlotte, who the Mexicans renamed Carlotta. In 1864, as the Civil War between the French Foreign Legion and the Mexican conservatives raged with the Republicans and President Benito Juarez, they landed in Mexico and soon took on the traditions and lifestyle of the Mexican people, coming to love their new country and wanting the best for it. At the same time, war raged on, and Mexican ferocity and independent desires continued to thwart the French at every turn. The French Foreign Legion was better trained, yet it was humiliated at many battles, including the very famous Battle of Puebla on May 5, 1862, the basis for Cinco de Mayo. The Mexican guerrilla war tactics would thwart Napoleon III's designs at any point, and Maximilian and his wife would not have long to sit on the throne. Nearly 3 years after they rose to power, they would be gone. In 1865, the American Revolution ended, and the heretofore waylaid Americans were able to uphold the Monroe Doctrine, which promised to keep Europeans out of the Western Hemisphere. They sent aid to the Republicans and Benito Juarez, and eventually these forces were successful in overthrowing their so-called emperor and empress. In 1867, they were deposed, lost all of their power, and him at 35 and her at 27 were killed before a firing squad as the Juarez government showed what happened to those who tried to take over Mexican sovereignty and independence. Juarez returned to power, the French returned to France to fight the Prussians, and 4 years later, at the hands of the Prussians, Napoleon III was defeated in the Franco-Prussian War and lost his empire. All the seeds of destruction had probably begun with his intervention in Mexico. Juarez would remain president until 1872, when he was overthrown, once again, by Santa Anna de Lopez, and Mexican independence and the sovereignty of their people was assured from then on out. Well, I hope you enjoyed that interesting story about how the Mexicans would not let the French create an empire, and where Cinco de Mayo comes from, by the way. Now you know if you didn't know before. and I hope you really enjoyed it. And if you did, consider liking and subscribing. Join my Patreon, where I have bonus content dropping all the time, and I have a Substack where I write articles. So if you don't like the sound of my voice, you can read what I write. Leave a comment about feedback and suggestions for the channel. I would love to hear it. We have live streams Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Come and join us then. And I hope you have a really wonderful weekend, and we'll see you for our next long-form video on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care, and remember, love history.